He was a rising political star who built his career on family values and traditional beliefs. She was a successful transgender woman fighting for equality. When he approached her with what seemed like genuine love, neither of them knew it would end with the most explosive political scandal of the decade, and the truth that would destroy everything he'd worked for. Senator James Morrison was the golden boy of conservative politics at 35. Tall, charismatic, and blessed with the kind of all-American good looks that made middle-aged voters swoon, he'd risen to the ranks faster than anyone in recent memory. His perfectly styled brown hair, bright blue eyes, and calculated smile had graced countless magazine covers as America's most eligible bachelor in politics. James had built his entire brand on traditional family values, religious faith, and what he called protecting the American way of life. Behind closed doors, however, he was calculating, ambitious, and willing to do whatever it took to secure his path to the White House. Maya Rodriguez was everything James's public persona claimed to oppose, yet she was more accomplished than most people he knew. At 32, she was a brilliant civil rights attorney who'd made her name fighting landmark cases for LGBTQ+ equality. Stunningly beautiful with long dark hair, intelligent brown eyes, and a confidence that came from years of overcoming adversity, Maya had transitioned in her early 20s and never looked back. She ran a successful law practice, gave speeches at universities across the country, and had become one of the most visible advocates for transgender rights in America. Despite the challenges she'd faced, Maya maintained an optimistic outlook and genuine warmth that drew people to her. Their worlds couldn't have been more different. James spent his days in marble halls making laws, while Maya spent hers in courtrooms fighting those same laws when they were unjust. He gave speeches about traditional marriage. She fought for the right of all people to love freely. He represented everything she opposed in politics, while she embodied everything his voter base feared about changing social norms. The catalyst came during James's presidential campaign strategy meeting in late 2023. His approval ratings were strong among his base, but polling showed he was losing ground with younger voters and moderates, demographics he needed to win a general election. His campaign manager, Rebecca, laid out the brutal truth. You're seen as out of touch, James. Too conservative, too rigid. The younger generation sees you as anti-LGBTQ+, and it's killing us in swing states. James's advisor, Marcus, leaned forward with a calculating gleam in his eye. What if we could change that narrative? Show that you're evolving, that you can build bridges. What are you suggesting? James asked, though something in Marcus's tone made him uneasy. I'm suggesting you date someone who challenges people's perceptions of you. Someone unexpected. Someone who could humanize you to the very communities that currently distrust you. Rebecca caught on immediately. You mean someone from the LGBTQ+ community? Marcus nodded. Specifically, I'm thinking of Maya Rodriguez. She's beautiful, successful, articulate. If you could win her over, genuinely connect with her, it would be the political story of the year. Imagine the headlines. Conservative senator falls for trans rights activist. It would show growth, evolution, and ability to see past politics to person. James felt his stomach turn, but his ambition was stronger than his revulsion. And if it doesn't work out, then you handle it gracefully. Say you learn a lot from the experience, and you've gained credibility with moderates either way. But if you can make it work for, say, 6 months of the primary season, you'll completely redefine your image. It wasn't presented as a bet or a dare, but James understood the challenge implicit in Marcus's words. Could he, the champion of traditional values, successfully court and win over one of the most prominent transgender women in America? Could he fake genuine affection convincingly enough to fool not just Maya, but the entire country? The answer, James decided, was yes. James's approach was masterful in its calculated spontaneity. He began by publicly moderating some of his positions, speaking about the importance of understanding all Americans and building bridges across divides. When a reporter asked about his views on LGBTQ+ rights, he gave a carefully crafted response about learning and growing and seeing humanity in everyone. The setup came at a charity gala for legal aid services, an event both James and Maya were attending. James made sure to be seated at a nearby table, and during the cocktail hour, he approached her with what appeared to be genuine nervousness. Ms. Rodriguez, I'm James Morrison. I know we're probably on opposite sides of most issues, but I want to say I've been following your work, and I'm impressed by your dedication to your clients." Maya was immediately suspicious. This was a man who'd voted against the Equality Act, who'd spoken out against transgender rights in schools, who represented everything she'd spent her career fighting. But something in his demeanor caught her off guard. He seemed almost vulnerable, uncertain in a way that didn't match his public persona. "Senator Morrison," she replied coolly, "I have to say, I'm surprised to hear that, given your voting record." James nodded, running a hand through his hair in what appeared to be genuine discomfort. "I know, and I'll be honest with you. I think I've been wrong about some things. My positions have been shaped by my upbringing, my constituency, but lately, I've been questioning whether I'm really serving all Americans the way I should be." It was a lie, but James delivered it with the sincerity of a man who'd spent years perfecting his public speaking. Maya found herself intrigued despite herself. Politicians didn't usually approach her to admit they might be wrong. Over the following weeks, James orchestrated a careful campaign of accidental encounters. He showed up at the coffee shop near Maya's office, always seeming surprised to see her. He attended lectures at the law school where she taught part-time, sitting in the back and asking thoughtful questions afterward. Each interaction was brief, respectful, and designed to show him as a man genuinely trying to learn and grow. The breakthrough came when James sent Maya a handwritten letter. Not an email or text, but an actual letter on personal stationery. In it, he wrote about growing up in a conservative household, about never having a chance to really understand the LGBTQ+ community, and about how meeting her had made him want to examine his own beliefs. He asked if she would consider having dinner with him, not as a senator and an activist, but as two people trying to understand each other. Maya was torn. Every instinct told her this was political theater, but the letter seemed so personal, so vulnerable. Against her better judgment, she agreed to dinner. That first dinner led to another, and then another. James was a masterful performer, revealing carefully crafted vulnerabilities while maintaining his charm. He talked about the pressure of living up to his father's expectations, about the loneliness of political life, about his growing doubts regarding some of his positions. He asked Maya about her transition, her experiences, her hopes for the future, and he listened with what appeared to be genuine interest and empathy. Maya found herself drawn to this version of James, the private man who seemed so different from the public politician. When he took her hand across the table during their third dinner and said, "You're changing how I see the world, Maya. You're changing how I see myself," she felt something shift in her chest despite all her reservations. James escalated slowly and strategically. He introduced Maya to his staff, showing her off as someone who was teaching him so much. He began including subtle references to new perspectives in his speeches. When photos of them together began appearing in gossip blogs, he didn't deny the relationship. Instead, he spoke about how Maya was helping become a better person and a better public servant. For 3 months, James played his part perfectly. He and Maya were photographed together at restaurants, art galleries, and charity events. His poll numbers began shifting as younger voters and moderates responded positively to his apparent evolution. James even began to believe his own performance, convincing himself that his growing affection for Maya was genuine rather than strategic. Maya, meanwhile, was falling in love with the man she thought James was becoming. She saw glimpses of genuine kindness, moments when his guard seemed completely down, times when he appeared to truly care about her thoughts and feelings. When he told her he was falling in love with her, she believed him. When he said she was the best thing that had ever happened to him, she felt the same way about him. The turning point came when Maya decided to surprise James at his campaign office. She'd been working late on a case and wanted to bring him dinner, knowing he often forgot to eat when buried in campaign work. Using the key card he'd given her, she let herself into his private office, expecting to find him hunched over policy papers. Instead, she found him in a strategy meeting with Rebecca and Marcus, and she arrived just in time to hear Marcus saying, "The Maya thing is working perfectly. Your approval with under 35s is up 12 points, and the moderate suburban women love the redemption narrative. How much longer do you think you need to keep it going?" "Through the primary, at least," James replied. "Maybe longer if the general election polling shows it's still helping." The key is making the breakup look natural when the time comes. Mutual, amicable, we learned from each other but grew in different directions. Rebecca nodded. The important thing is that you come out of this looking like someone who can evolve, who can reach across divides. Even if it doesn't work out romantically, you'll have shown growth. Maya stood frozen in the doorway, her heart shattering as the full scope of the deception became clear. This wasn't a relationship. It was a political strategy. She wasn't James's girlfriend. She was a prop in his campaign, a diversity hire for his personal life. Maya stepped into the office, her face a mask of controlled fury. Don't let me interrupt this fascinating strategy session. James spun around, his face going white as he saw her standing there. Maya, I can explain. Explain what exactly? Maya's voice was deadly calm. Explain how you spent 3 months lying to me? Explain how you used my feelings, my trust, my identity as a political prop? Explain how you made me believe you actually cared about me when this was all just campaign strategy? Rebecca and Marcus exchanged panicked glances, but Maya's attention was fixed entirely on James. She could see the calculation in his eyes as he tried to find a way to salvage the situation. Maya, please, it's not what you think. Yes, the relationship started for political reasons, but what I feel for you now is real. You have to believe that. Maya laughed bitterly. I don't have to believe anything you say ever again. You know what the worst part is, James? I actually thought you were changing. I thought maybe, just maybe, there was hope for people like you to see people like me as human beings deserving of love and respect. But this whole time, I was just a political calculation to you. James stepped toward her, desperation creeping into his voice. That's not true anymore. Maya, I love you. Whatever this started as, it's real now. No, Maya said firmly, backing away from him. You love what I could do for your campaign. You love the polling numbers I brought you. You love the narrative of redemption and growth. But you don't love me because you never even tried to see the real me. I was just a strategy to you. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. You know what, James? You're about to learn what it really means to face consequences for your actions. And unlike your carefully managed political theater, this is going to be completely real. Maya didn't act immediately. Instead, she spent a week carefully documenting everything, saving text messages, compiling photos, gathering evidence of the calculated nature of their relationship. She reached out to a journalist she trusted, someone who covered LGBTQ+ issues fairly and thoroughly. When the story broke, it exploded across every major news outlet. Exclusive. Senator Morrison's trans girlfriend reveals their relationship was campaign strategy, dominated headline for days. Maya provided recordings of their conversations where James had clearly been performing rather than being genuine, text messages between him and his advisors about managing the relationship's optics, and a detailed timeline showing how his public positions had shifted in perfect coordination with their dating milestones. But Maya didn't just expose the deception. She used the platform to deliver a powerful message about the humanity and dignity of transgender people. In interviews, she spoke eloquently about how painful it was to be reduced to a political prop, but also about the broader implications of James's actions. This isn't just about me, she told a national television audience. This is about what happens when politicians treat marginalized communities as political theater rather than as human beings deserving of genuine respect and rights. Senator Morrison didn't just lie to me. He lied to every LGBTQ+ person who thought he might actually be evolving on our issues. The political fallout was swift and devastating. James's primary campaign collapsed as his base abandoned him for betraying his stated values, while moderates rejected him for the cynical manipulation. His presidential ambitions were over, and within 6 months, he announced he wouldn't seek re-election to the Senate. 2 years later, Maya was invited to speak at the Democratic National Convention about equality and authenticity in politics. As she stood at the podium, confident and radiant, she spoke about the importance of genuine allyship versus performative politics. In the audience, she spotted James watching from the press section. He'd taken a job as a political commentator, his career in elected office permanently over. Their eyes met briefly, and Maya felt nothing but pity for the man who'd thrown away his future for a political gambit that had backfired spectacularly. He wanted to use her to show growth and evolution, but in the end, the only person who truly grown from their relationship was Maya herself. She'd learned that her worth could never be diminished by someone else's deception, and that authentic love was worth waiting for, even if it meant exposing painful lies along the way. True progress isn't a political strategy. It's a genuine commitment to seeing the humanity in others. When you treat someone's heart as a campaign tool, you don't just betray them. You reveal the emptiness of your own character. Authenticity can't be faked, and those who try to manipulate it for personal gain will always find that the truth has a way of exposing itself when they least expect it. If you like that story, please subscribe for more. Thank you, and until next time.